Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20 of Creative Walks. I'm sorry I was not here for a few days. I actually took a few days off to work on last minute things for New Year, but I hope I can keep my streak of daily podcasts. In any case, I hope you forgive my lack of consistency on this one. But anyway, today I just wanted to mention an idea I had yesterday, and if you follow me on social media, you have seen the photo that I posted. It's from a project called The Art of Precious Scars that I created with a wonderful makeup artist called Olena back in Toronto. And it's a photo that reimagines this ancient Japanese art form called Kintsugi. That is a practice of repairing broken things, broken artifacts, and glue them back with gold. So when I was working on this series, the idea was to relate these broken pieces of ceramics with our own broken psychological things and the things that happen in our lives that break us, and how, like in Kintsugi, when they're put back together with gold, they're even more beautiful. This photo is the idea of mending a broken heart. And I think at the end of the year, we all start thinking about goals and objectives. If you're very optimistic and in line with the culture, if you are not, you may get sad or depressed. I know that there's a lot of that during this time of the year, unfortunately. I just wanted to mention this photograph that is some sort of inspiration out of the darkness. It's the idea that even when you're broken, you can be mended, and even more than that, you are more interesting and more powerful because you have been broken. But not only that, you have been put back together, and that's sort of the focus that I want to have for 2020, the upcoming year, the upcoming decade. This idea that you have to find your gold that you can use to repair yourself and repair the world around you instead of just thinking of the broken part. Also, I'm actually not walking today. I am about to try to do a very simple Brazilian sweet called brigadeiro that I have a history of messing up, but hopefully this one will be fine. So I'm sitting on my kitchen table working on it. The cool thing that I was thinking about is how this is the end of the decade. And as soon as you complete 10 years of anything, every second is the end of a decade. But it's kind of interesting that we decide to use round numbers like 10 to think of life in cycles. And I think that's, if you don't have a ironic or cynical, that's a better word, cynical view of the world, it's kind of interesting that we all around the world stop one day and at least once in that year think of our goals, our objectives, and the things that went well and the things that didn't. And even if you have a very cynical view of like, I never get my goals in order, I think it's nice that at least once a year we think of what we want to accomplish and we get this boost of optimism. I think it's a good thing. And when I think about this in terms of a decade, 10 years ago, I was starting a new life in Toronto after leaving my 5-year run at the Brazilian government. And now, 10 years later, I'm 40 and I'm actually starting a new chapter in my life. I'm living in Eastern Europe for a little bit and trying to travel around the places here. It hasn't really happened just yet. I just went to like 3 or 4 trips since I came here. But it has been very interesting, and I think 2020 will bring a lot more of that. And that is because I will make it happen. So very interesting to see the things in the decade runs. And even 20 years ago, I was starting to study physics. And then 10 years ago, I thought I would be a designer working in Toronto. And now I am a photographer and a musician between Kyiv and still with ties to Canada and wanting to explore the planet. And now I'm trying to find my goal, my gold as well. Incidentally, I had this dream once a while back, actually right when I was thinking about moving to Kyiv. There was this idea that you had this pen, and I had this pen that was, whenever I was not doing the right thing, it was painting blood in this red thing. But then when I found my flow, the right way to write it, that blood became gold. And I thought that was kind of a cool dream and a cool metaphor that has always stayed in my mind. So with that, if you want to take a look at the photograph that I'm mentioning, you can find that on my social media channels. Easiest is Instagram, Pedro Bonatto, with 2 T's, or on the show notes of this post. So with that, my wish for you in 2020 is that you go in search of your gold and mend what has been broken and wear those glowing, beautiful scars with pride. With that, I leave you, and I hope you find 2020 vision in 2020. See you tomorrow.